iCarly is one of the funniest shows for kids and teenagers, and honestly, we're still sad it's over. We've recently rewatched the show and spotted many mistakes you wouldn't notice unless you're a true fan. Wait until you see who is one of Jeanette McCurdy's stunt doubles. If you love iCarly, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Let's check out 10 mistakes in iCarly only true fans noticed. Character resemblance. Let's start off with a little bit of fun only true fans of the show could catch. If you watch iCarly and Victorious, you know that both shows feature some of the same cast. They're either main or side characters, but unless you watch both shows or look it up, you probably never notice it. In an iCarly episode called I Party with Victorious, the characters of the shows officially meet for the first time. We see Sam comparing the appearance of Tori to Shelby Marks, an MMA fighter from an episode in season 2. Well, no wonder they look the same. Both characters are played by Victoria Justice. But there is a brief mistake the characters make in this episode. Even though they recognize Tori and Shelby look the same, they fail to recognize some of the other characters, even though it's very clear that Andre and Harper are both played by Leon Thomas III, and no one pointed out the obvious similarities between the two characters. And Trina from Victorious looks like a girl from the I, Psycho episode because they're both played by Daniela Monet. That girl even attended an iCarly party before. We bet you can find even more characters in the episode, and it's strange that none of them recognized anyone else but Victoria Justice. It's even funnier when Freddie says that Tori is actually way hotter than Shelby Marks. Joke's on you, Freddie. They're the same person.
Hey guys, we are so excited to announce we are producing our own original content. Head over to The Trendy for the best DIYs, fashion tips, makeup hacks, and so much more. We are sure you're going to love it, and be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section. We love to hear from you. See you there.
Douglas the electrician. Now let's move on to some of the serious stuff. In one of the early scenes of Season 3, Episode 2, Douglas the electrician makes an appearance. He's the guy that installed a security system in Sam's locker, but that's not what we'll pay attention to in this episode. Take a look at the scene where Sam thanks him. You can clearly see some strings around his neck, can't you? He goes on to say that Sam should tell her mom that Douglas misses her as they were dating in the past. Sam says she will, and then Douglas says he misses her a lot, putting a lot of emphasis on the a lot part. You can see the strings are still around his neck, right? Pay attention to the next part. As soon as Sam gets angry and says she gets the innuendo, the camera switches to Douglas and the strings suddenly disappear. This often happens as the actors do scene takes and nobody really pays attention to the accessories, but you can clearly see the strings are missing from his neck. They don't appear for the rest of the shot. It could be that he put them away somewhere, or that simply the actor just made a mistake and forgot about this small detail. Perhaps Douglas the electrician is also a magician and can make things disappear in just a second. How are they broadcasting it? Here's a mistake that's also a theory we can't shake off. If you know the answer to this one, let us know in the comments. We follow the iCarly characters on a lot of adventures, and a lot of the times you see them in places where it seems like there's absolutely no internet, electricity, or outlets. If you're a fan of the show, you know they broadcast it in the studio, where there are a lot of cables involved and tons of technology that's able to make the show happen. This includes a strong internet connection that wouldn't be possible with just a wireless connection. Now go back and watch some of the episodes where the characters clearly visit some places that wouldn't exactly be ideal places to live broadcast a show. Sometimes even a supply closet or a closed-off place in school might not have the signal you need to live broadcast the show. So how did they do it? Of course, it's a show, so we can always just brush this off as part of the story. But doesn't it seem strange how iCarly is always broadcasted live and seems to be able to do it from practically anywhere? We still struggle getting enough signal or having a strong internet connection to upload your YouTube videos. We know we're not the only ones that could use the iCarly's broadcasting magic. Honeysuckle. Next is Freddie's mother, Marissa Benson. You probably never liked her when you watched the iCarly episodes, but did you ever catch this mistake she made in one of the episodes? She's an overprotective helicopter parent that always wants to make make sure Freddie is okay. She's not really one of the most loved characters, but that doesn't mean she's not necessary to the story. But that's not the mistake we'll talk about today. In the 4th episode of Season 2, there's some discussion on what Marissa's name actually means. She says it means honeysuckle in French, but it's actually wrong. Honeysuckle is a completely different word in French, and the name Marissa actually means of the sea and Mary in Latin. There's absolutely no connection between the name Marissa and honeysuckle. Why would she even bring that up? Or is it just Marissa's way to still believe she's really not that overprotective and is in fact sweet? Another quick mistake actually comes from the same episode. In the hospital scene, we see Sam discovering Lubert's wart on Carly's shoe. Freddie takes it off and gives it to the paramedics. But in the next hospital scene, we see Carly with both shoes on, the same shoes she was wearing before. Guess the paramedics didn't want to keep the shoes after all, no matter how gross they were. Magical dentist. You can argue that iCarly had so many seasons, mistakes were not allowed to happen. But mistakes in iCarly could be spotted from as early as Season 1. Sometimes it's even the actor's fault, but sometimes it's just the way the scenes are shot. As actors have to redo the same takes over and over again, only the best ones get picked, and sometimes that means the background in those scenes might be inconsistent. You've probably seen a bunch of these if you watch iCarly or many other shows. If not, make sure you watch our other videos where we explore the mistakes on Jessie, Despicable Me, and many more shows and movies. These kind of mistakes also happened in Season 1, Episode 14, called I Heart Art. Let's go to the scene with the dentist. Pay attention to Spencer's shirt. Every time the camera pans back to Spencer, you can see the wet stain on his shirt going smaller, all while he's still drooling. Either the saliva is drying super fast, or there were so many takes done, they no longer paid attention to the little details. Also, this scene might seem pretty gross if you're not a fan of drooling. We bet you can find even more scenes like that. So next time you rewatch iCarly, pay attention to objects and stains and see if they disappear at any point during the same scene. Time goes slow. If you're still watching our video, leave a comment saying Team iCarly to let us know. How many times of these mistakes have you caught so far? We bet you've seen this one because it's something that happens in action movies and it's often completely unexplainable. We've all seen countdowns with a timer that goes much slower than it would in real life. It's TV magic after all. iCarly also had a scene where it seemed like 7 seconds lasted for longer than 7 seconds. It's episode 20 of Season 2 called I Fight Shelby Marks. At the beginning of the episode, you can see everyone watching Shelby fight on TV. The timer shows there's only 7 seconds of fighting left, but the fight itself was much longer than that. It's like time completely stopped and was only added for the dramatic suspense, like it is in most action movies. If you focus on details when watching the show, we bet this caught your eye. It seems like 1 second in the TV world becomes 1 minute, sometimes even more. Maybe it's the magic of Shelby Marks. Speaking of Shelby Marks, you probably know by now that she's played by Victoria Justice. When the iCarly characters meet the characters of Victorious, you can see Sam comparing Tori to Shelby. They're the same people. We bet that blew everyone's mind when they watched the episode for the first time. The change of the hammers. iCarly is a show with a lot of background objects that never really leave the set, but we bet that you can find a few that change, either intentionally or unintentionally. In Season 1, Episode 5 called I Wanna Stay with Spencer, Spencer gets inspired to build a fan of hammers, and he's really excited about it. It's just as crazy as it sounds, a fan with spinning hammers attached to it. It doesn't really sound safe, and that's proven when Spencer turns it on, because one of the hammer ends up in the wall. But pay attention to the way the hammers are facing when they're attached to the fan. They're all facing the same direction, with the peen facing the left. Since the fan is spinning clockwise, there would be no way the hammer would end up in a wall the way it did. Besides that, we can see the peen of the hammer in the wall. But surely the hammer would make some kind of damage to the wall considering the speed of the fan. If you look at the wall, it's completely undamaged, and the hammer just looks like it's part of the decoration. Another funny gag is that that particular hammer actually stays in the wall for the rest of the show, but we bet you can spot a scene where it suddenly disappears. StuntDouble Revealed. Although it was noted that Jeanette McCurdy loves to do her own stunts, there were several occasions where she had to get a stunt double. Sometimes they're well masked, and sometimes they're totally obvious. I Saved Your Life has to be one of the funniest episodes of the show, as we saw Spencer and Sam try to hit each other with the blowgun. We love the suspense when the mailman opens up the package and Spencer asks if Sam's inside. He discovers a lollipop, and the mailman mentions it's actually called a sucker. Then we see Sam popping up from the ceiling in slow motion. If you pause the scene when Sam lands on the floor, you can easily see it's actually a stunt double as it completely reveals her face. Her name is Jassy Cotton Lanier, but you'd never know unless you check the credits for the episode. We have to say the slow motion shot of Sam jumping down is one of our favorites. In that same episode, Spencer makes a very inappropriate joke. We see Sam opening her locker and finding Spencer inside, who's ready to shoot her with the blowgun. Sam just slams the door in his face and locks the locker. We hear Spencer say he needs to stop saying witty things before he blows. Alright, Spencer, that might be a little too much for a kid's show. Sam's sandwich. Here's another mistake where the show didn't pay much attention to the objects around the actors, as they did multiple takes to find the right one. This also happened in one of the earlier episodes. In Season 1, Episode 18, we can see Sam eating a sandwich when they have the first meeting with the Tech Foot Company. Watch closely as the camera focuses on Sam and the sandwich on the table. You can see her eating a sandwich, but the amount she has eaten changes with each shot, and it's not decreasing like any other sandwich you would eat. This magical sandwich actually has a bite taken in one shot, but then looks whole in another. The shots go back and forth, and it seems like the sandwich always has a bite taken out of it, or it doesn't. The sandwich also rotates. Sometimes it's faced towards Sam, and sometimes it isn't. And when Sam chokes on the sandwich after finding out how much they get paid for the shoe promotion, you can clearly see it's still whole. It's pretty confusing, right? Even though we do see her moving her mouth as if she'd be eating the sandwich. Well, it's definitely not the first time it has happened, and we're sure you can find more mistakes like this. If there's one thing we learned in that episode, it's that you shouldn't buy tech-foot shoes. Sam's stuntman. We've already talked about stunt doubles in this video, but it's always fun when you realize that the actor that's supposed to play the character changed into someone else. They often look so similar, it's super easy to miss it. And unless you're a huge iCarly fan, you've probably missed this piece of trivia. We've mentioned Jeanette McCurdy loved doing her own stunts, but sometimes she had to get a stunt double. In episode 6 of season 3, we see Sam lifting Freddie. While it's not a mistake by itself, it would be pretty hard for Sam to lift Freddie up without any issues, considering she struggled with heavy objects in some of the previous episodes. We never actually see Sam's face, but there's a good reason behind it. Jeanette McCurdy actually revealed that she had a stunt double for that scene, but what's really surprising is that her stunt double was actually a man. His name is Sean Loser, and we're honestly surprised Nickelodeon was able to pull this off. Rewind the scene where Sam picks up Freddie again, and see if you can spot that Sam actually becomes a male stunt double. Jeanette said her confidence plummeted when she learned that her stunt double was going to be a man, but we bet it's not even noticeable unless you're a true iCarly fan. That's it for 10 mistakes in iCarly only true fans noticed. For more iCarly videos, check out 10 behind-the-scenes secrets in iCarly Nickelodeon tried to hide. See you next time!